I will be completing the Lord Fabian Fusion here on my 2025 Hell Hades free-to-play challenge account. As you can see, the account is only 61 days old. We're on day 3 of the fusion, so we started on login day 59. Now, I do a no-fail fusion plan video for every one of these fusion events in Raid Shadow Legends. The last one on Lord Fabian was just a few days ago. You should go check it out. But one question that I get in the comments of those no-fail fusion plan videos is, hey, great plan, but how do I do that on the daily? Like, what do you do from the day-to-day aspect of completing a fusion? Now, I've never done a video like this before, so in today's video, I'm going to give you exactly that. I'm going to take you back to the beginning, the very first things that I did in order to set myself up for success, and then I'm going to talk about the execution of each day's events all the way through this calendar. Hopefully, that's going to give you insight into how I complete a fusion with a high degree of success, even on a young account like this one. Now, hopefully this will help you if you're an early game player or a mid game player, but even if you are a late game player, if you've ever struggled with completing fusion events or you just want to improve your performance, I think this video is going to provide you with a lot of little tips, nuggets of information, maybe some strategic planning that could help you out in the future. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends free-to-play challenge. Let's get started. In order to successfully complete any fusion, you really need to plan ahead, and your plan is primarily going to revolve around saving enough resources for the fusion, because for any fusion, there is a specific number of resources that's going to be required to complete that fusion, and you can't go below that number. There's no way to be more than perfectly efficient in all of your resources. So this is also true for spenders, right? Spenders can't complete a fusion by using fewer resources. You can't buy your way into that. The difference between free-to-play and spending in this regard is that free-to-play players have to save all of these resources, whereas spenders can get them on demand when they need them, and therefore they can also overspend if they want. That's the big difference. But this method that we're going to outline today will work for everybody, and it does revolve around being as efficient as possible, but also saving all of these resources ahead of time. And in order to know with as close to 100% certainty as you can, if you can complete a fusion, you need to know what that number is for each of the major resources. Now, the 3 major resources are shards, silver, and energy, right? Now, we'll talk more specifically about each of those, but be aware that those are the 3 that you need to save or you need to generate during the course of the fusion. In addition, there are other resources that are relevant. One really relevant resource is your time. There's a certain amount of time in game. And again, here you can maybe save a little time with something like RSL Helper. So if you're trying to streamline even more than the method that I'm using, you could employ something like that. Obviously, if you're a mobile player, multi-battles helps, right? You can kind of AFK do tournaments and things like that if you have enough multi-battles. So those are like secondary resources and they're valuable, but those are things that I'll leave for you to calculate into your own approach. One final resource I'm going to mention here are the brews. There are brews that you can use to get experience onto your champions. You can use this to level up chickens. You can use this to add additional points to champion training tournaments and stuff like that. So it's useful to have brews. I'm actually a little bit shy on brews. I prefer to have 200 brews of each of the major types, but I'm doing okay. Well, we probably will talk a little bit about that, but I'm basically planning as if I don't really have that many brews. I'm going to use the brew trick to get points during champion training. If you don't know what that is, you can go and look up a video for champion training. Okay, it's a well-documented method for getting champion training points through the tavern. So the 3 big resources, shards, energy, and silver. The first thing that we need to do is calculate what we're going to need to complete any given fusion. And then we also have to figure out what are we gathering between today and the fusion that we want to complete. So I'm going to go back in time to last month's fusion, which was the Esme fusion. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to take a look at the Lord Fabian calendar so we understand exactly what kind of resources we're talking about for this particular fusion. So here is the current fusion event calendar, but I want to start by talking about the Esme fusion, which was the February fusion. Now, when that champion was announced and that calendar came out, I decided against pursuing that fusion because I didn't think it was the best use of my resources. She was a good champion, but I didn't think she was going to move the needle on my account that much. So I decided to spend my resources in a different way. The big spend or the big change was I held my sacred shards to spend on a 2 times sacred shard weekend. And that 2 times sacred shard weekend was actually February 21st. So on the 21st, we had a 2 times sacred shard event. And then the event ended on the 24th. And I expected this fusion event to actually start on the previous Thursday. Most fusion events start on Thursday, or they have for the past 18 months or so. The last 2 events did not do that, so maybe they're changing their pattern. But I expected this to actually start on March 6th. And so I thought this would be the beginning of this fusion. And then I knew on March 7th would be a Friday. That would start the weekend. I knew that this was, first of all, going to be a 2 times weekend. And I also thought this was going to be a champion chase. Okay? Because we go champion chase, summon rush, champion chase, summon rush. And right now, currently, the 2 times events are lining up with the champion chase because we get a 2 times event every other weekend. So these are all things that I knew at the beginning of the Esme fusion. Right? I knew the 2 times sacred was happening then. I knew the 2 times, this would probably be a 2 times ancient shard event, and a champion chase would be happening here, and this would be the first weekend of the fusion. Now, that's not how it happened, but that's where I started the planning from. The fact that this fusion is happening later changed the plan a little bit when I realized that, but we'll talk about that as we go. So the big thing here is I knew that this summon rush was going to happen regardless. Whether or not this fusion started on the 6th or it started later, this summon rush would be included here. And the most efficient way to complete a summon rush is with sacred shards. Now, this typically takes 3,000 points in order to complete a summon rush the first half. If there's a second tier, in this case there is for the epic, this typically takes 5,500 points to clear this tier. Okay? Now, sacred shards are 500 points. That means this would equal 6 sacred shards worth of points. I knew that if I pulled during this 2 times sacred shard event, I would not have 6 sacreds for this summon rush. If I saved all of them, by the way, I would have. So that was a thing that I contemplated. But you can also do this with mystery shards. You could do this with any shards, but you don't want to spend ancients or voids or primals here on summon rush. You really don't. This should be done with sacreds and mysteries. Okay? So if I had 3 sacreds, that'd be 1,500 points. Then I would need 1,500 mystery shards. If I got 4 sacreds, I would need 1,000 mystery shards. Now, I knew I was going to get my monthly sacred shard. I knew that that was going to happen, and I did. So that was available. I just got that like yesterday or the day before. So that's available for this summon rush. In addition, I knew there was one more. I forget where it was coming from. I was completing a quest or a mission or something, and I got an additional one. Actually, no, you know what it was? I think Plarium gave us a present. They gave us an anniversary present. I think they gave us a sacred shard. So that may be where it came from. So there's still one out there that I can get. I think it's from Nightmare Campaign. If I complete Nightmare Campaign, I can get that one. And then, I was hoping to pull some sacred shards from Clan Boss. Now, I am only completing Nightmare Clan Boss. I am not completing Ultra Nightmare. And I knew that that wasn't likely, that I wasn't likely to get to Ultra Nightmare. If you are pulling down 2 chests a day from Nightmare, so that's 60 chests per month, right? 30 days, we'll say as an average 60 chests per month, you will get around 6 sacred shards. But this gap is only 3 weeks. It's not a month. So I expected to get somewhere in the vicinity of 1 or 2 sacred shards. And in fact, I have pulled 1. I didn't pull 2. So I currently have 3 sacreds, which means I'm going to need 1,500 mystery shards, which I don't have quite yet. I have 1,000, but we'll talk about that as we go. So I still have a chance to get another sacred. I still have a chance to build up more mystery shards. And of course, I have other shards that I could spend if I absolutely needed to. I could do a 10 pull or 2 10 pulls of ancient shards if I had to. But this is something I knew way back at the beginning of the Esme fusion. I knew that this summon rush would be part of this fusion, and I knew that this is what I would need. And that allowed me to say, okay, I can spend on these sacred shards, but then I really have to start saving my mystery shards. So I started doing that right away. And I also wanted to make sure that I never missed the Nightmare Clan Boss, chest every day. Okay. Now, this weekend, the 7th, actually turned out to be a champion chase, but it turned out to be a 2 times primal. So I still have all of those ancient shards, right? And we're going to have a 2 times weekend here. this will be a 2 times weekend. We don't know what it'll be. It could be 2 times ancients. It could be 2 times something else. I expect it to be 2 times everything. It's the anniversary fusion or anniversary month or whatever. I think it's going to be a 2 times everything. So I think this champion chase is going to be really easy. I've also saved all of my fragments and permanent fusion champions for this. I actually thought I was going to use them here, but it's going to be here. I have something in the vicinity of 2,000 points of saved up champions, right? Remember, this is really important, that if you want to maximize these points, you want to save all of the rares from this fusion that you can and fuse the epic during this champion chase. Now, you can only fuse 3 copies of the epic. You can't fuse the 4th because you literally need to complete the champion chase in order to get the last one, right? So you can fuse 3 copies. That would be 1,000 points. So if I do that, if I do 1K with the save, with my saved champions and 1K with the fusion champions, that'll be the 2,000 points. And this takes roughly, this is another 3,000 point event. I just have to pull the shards, the 2 times shards, whatever they are. It could be 2 times voids, 2 times ancients. It's not going to be 2 times sacreds. We know that. Or we suspect that. It could be, I guess, if they want to be real jerks about it. But I'm going to have shards to pull for this. So this should be easy. This should be not difficult at all, right? If you don't want to save those copies of the Fusion Epic, by the way, because you want to say, level them up during this champion training tournament, you can definitely do that. Just be aware that you're going to be giving up some points here on the champion chase. That might be okay. I could do that. I could fuse all of these copies early, or at least 2 of the copies early, and level them up during the champion training tournament. That would give me some more points there, and then I'll just pull more shards on the champion chase tournament. But again, this is something that I was planning ahead. So now I have my shards locked in. I know that I can get enough shards. I know what my shard target is. I want 3 sacreds and 1,500 mysteries, or I want 4 sacreds and 1,000 mysteries. And then I can always make that up a little bit with ancient shards if I had to. I really don't want to, but I could, right? And then this event is going to be a piece of cake. It's not going to be difficult. I didn't know, by the way, that this was going to be a classic fusion. If this were a fragment, event, you could still do the same thing with the champion chase. If this was a hybrid, you could still do the same thing with the champion chase. So the type of fusion event doesn't change the fact that this champion chase can be kind of manipulated based on these champions. Okay, so those are the fragments. Now let's go to the other 2 types of resources that you need. So let's talk about silver. Now you need 60 million silver to complete a fusion. I like to go into a fusion with about 15 million, and then I can generate the 45 during the event relatively easily. I went into this one with only 5 million. I was a little bit under where I thought I would be. And I did that kind of for a couple of reasons. One, because on an early account, you need to spend silver in order to improve your gear to get your champions into better places. And that helped me, for instance, get a 2-key nightmare. It helped me make sure I have all of the level 20 dungeons on lock and stuff like that. So I've been investing that silver in order to make sure that I can do all of the things I need to do during this fusion. So it was money well spent, but I also expected that at level 55 of an account, I might get a discount on the point totals of some of these events. That has turned out to not be the case. I have the maximum point totals, the same on my level 100 endgame account. I have all of the same point totals for literally every event so far. The Dungeon Divers, the Dragon Tournament, the Champion Training, the Gear Enhancement, all of them. All of them have been maxed out. That wasn't true last year. When I did it last year, I had a discount on all of those different events. But this year, no discount. So maybe they changed that along the way, or I'm misremembering what level did they max out at. But anyway, so I need to generate silver. That means I'm going to have to overspend somewhere, right? That's going to go into my energy calculation. So I need to make up 10 million, which isn't that much. Like, there are ways I can do that. I can definitely use the forge. I can do a gear cleanse. I can buy clan gold and stuff like that to make up that difference. And that should probably take me all the way through. The trickiest one is actually going to be this first gear enhancement here, because I'm currently shy on some of the silver. By the time I get to the second gear enhancement, I will have done the Ice Golem tournament, and it'll be during the Spider tournament, which generates a lot of silver, and also the Champion Training, which generates a lot of silver. So that'll be something else. So just be aware that I'm going to have to make up the silver a little bit, and I'm going to do that by overspending on energy. So I wanted to outline that right now. But now what we can do is we can talk about the biggest, most important resource to manage, which is energy, right? Shards are just, you get them or you don't. But energy, you have to, on the daily, you have to actually generate and figure out. Now, the way that energy works on these fusion events, it's basically always the same. Every dungeon tournament is 2,000 energy. A Dungeon Divers event is 5,000 energy. So if you can embed a dungeon tournament inside a Dungeon Divers, it's free energy. So this doesn't cost anything. The Dragon tournament is free because I need to put 5,000 into some dungeon. So I may as well put it into the Dragon tournament that's going on. Now, you can also put energy into champion training. That's primarily campaign. The point return is much lower here. So you basically have to spend double the energy. So I could put 10,000 energy into this champion training, and that would get me the Dungeon Divers points I needed. But I don't really want to do that either. So I'm basically looking at, at this as how much campaign energy do I need to spend? And I'll talk about that as I go. So 5,000 energy there, 5,000 energy here, 5,000 energy down here. And then we do have one tournament that's hanging out that's probably not going to be embedded into a Dungeon Divers event. It looks like there's a little bit of overlap here between this Dungeon Divers event and this Spider tournament. If you're awake at that time and there's a couple of hours here where maybe you could get all of this 2K into that spot, then you can get a free Spider tournament. I don't expect that to happen for me. So that means this is really going to look like a minimum of 17,000 energy without champion training. Now, on my main account, I do primarily 90% of my champion training through brews in the tavern. But this time, I'm going to have to do most of it with energy. So I'm going to plan on these two champion training taking roughly 2,000 additional energy, right? Rather than like overspend and doing all 5,000 energy in the Dragon tournament, I'm going to spend additional energy here in the champion training. So let's call that about 2,000 energy each, and then I'll do brews for the rest of it. I do have some brews, and I think that should be enough. I've also saved up a bunch of chickens, right? I've saved up a bunch of pre-made chickens, so that's going to get me some points here. And again, you can do the brew trick to get more points. So this is going to be an additional 4,000 energy, which will give me a total of about 21,000 energy. Then again, remember, you need the potions, the affinity potions, in order to awaken all of these champions. I have most of those potions already, but I'm going to allocate another 1,000 energy to get that in case I need it. So I'm really looking at 22,000 energy. That's what I'm looking at as a total. This is not surprising, right? This is always true for these fusion events. Now, if you can embed this Spider tournament into this Dungeon Divers event, you can save 2,000. That drops it down to 20,000. I will look to do that if I can, but I am going to be on holiday starting this day. Like right here, I'm going on holiday this week. So I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be out of town. I'm not going to be at my computer, and my hours are going to be different. So I expect this window to be a window I just don't have access to. So I very much expect to spend 22,000 energy here. But for you, maybe this will only be 20,000 energy for this event. So let's talk about energy. I did a video not that long ago about where you can get, how much daily energy you can get. So a couple of things here. Tuesday and Wednesday, I don't expect to, like, that energy doesn't matter because there are no energy events during that. There's a gear enhancement event that doesn't take any energy. Monday's energy, you're not going to get the full complement. You might get a half a day here on Monday, right? Like half of that energy for the Dungeon Divers event, maybe. But probably you're going to try to finish the Dungeon Divers with this Fire Knight tournament. You're probably going to do that. So I expect actually not to get any energy here, but just be aware that you could maybe get a little bit, if there's some Dungeon Divers points left over, you could get maybe a half day energy on Monday in order to complete that Dungeon Divers event. So I'm going to plan on, it looks like 14 days of energy. Now, I feel pretty comfortable getting 1.2 thousand energy per day without spending gems. I think I can generate 1,200 energy per day on this account. I know I can do at least 1,000, but I'm going to call it 1.2. I have to be pretty efficient here. That is going to generate for me, let's see, 16.8 thousand energy, right? Which means I need roughly 5,000 additional energy. I need to save or generate somehow 5,000 additional energy. Now, if I'm doing this 100% from gems, if I'm just turning gems into energy, it is 40 gems per 125 energy for me right now. I'm not at the cap of 130. It's actually 126. So 5,000. This would mean I need 100. I need 100 refills. 100 refills would get me. No, wait a second. What am I talking about? Not 100 refills. I need 40 refills. 40 refills. So 40 refills at 40 gems each equals 1,600 gems. 1,600 gems. So this is what I need. I need 1,600 gems. I need all of the energy. I need to generate 1.2 energy per day, 1.2 thousand energy per day. And then I need the shards that I have. But again, all of this planning has to take place ahead of time. Now, you can see I was planning more than a month out. Like at the beginning of the Esme Fusion, I was planning for this. And I was thinking about the rates at which I can save. And I knew that I could save the mystery shards. I knew I could save the gems. I knew I could save a whole bunch of energy. And I knew I could save the shards, right? The sacred shards. And so now it just comes down to actually executing on each of these events. I'm going to jump back into my account to kind of show you how this is breaking down in the game itself. Now, I want you to think about what we were talking about for all of the different resources, right? Now, first of all, we know that I need that 22,000 energy roughly. So I've been saving energy. We got several gifts recently of these batches of 300 energy. And so I've actually been spending some of my refills in other ways. I've already put some into the dungeon tournament as well, the dragon tournament rather. But so I've got 1,200 energy here plus another 375, 400 energy here. I've got about 1,600 energy saved. And again, I can generate close to 17,000 energy, so I need another 4,000 energy. And then you can see I have 4,000 gems, which would give me, what would that be? That would be 100 refills, which would be another 12,000 energy. So I can overshoot the energy by a lot. I have those resources saved, no problem. In addition, this is a great month to do a fusion because I got the 500 energy today to spend. I'm getting the 500 energy next week as well. And this is actually going to be available on that last day where energy could be spent on that Dungeon Divers. So if I need this 500 energy, it's going to be available there as well. Remember, also, there's always at least one clan v clan in every single fusion event. So here I'm going to have, I think it's about 400 energy from all of these milestones that are completed. So I've got those as well. So energy is looking nice. Now, I have to spread it out in the right ways. I have to spend it where it has to go. So I've been overspending on the current dragon tournament. And if I show you here, there's still 13 hours left. And so I did spend past the point of getting the rare. You can see I've actually gotten 2,800 points. And I intend to keep going here because I have this, it's this Dungeon Divers event. And I need to get to the 3,700 points. Now, I'm doing okay, so I don't expect to have to really, really go inefficiently here. I'm spending currently in some champion training in campaign. That's where I'm spending right now. But I'll probably finish this off with a little bit more dragon because that's just more efficient in terms of energy. And there is a 2 times drop rate for speed gear, and I need speed gear. So I've been farming stage 24. I know that I have more energy than I need. So I'm being a little bit inefficient here, farming stage 24 in order to get the better drop rates. Stage 24 is pretty efficient anyway, but if I have to, during those last few hours, I'll drop down to stage 20. Now, there's another resource here that we kind of talk about, which is not an in-game resource, it's time, right? It's your resource, time. This clear takes about 2 minutes, 40 seconds, maybe 3 minutes. This clear, on average, takes about 5 minutes. So it's an additional 2 minutes per clear, and I'm doing hundreds of clears. So this is additional hours in game, and I have to be aware of that. So as my time becomes more precious, if I'm going to bed soon or whatever, like I will drop down and do stage 20. Now, if you are not up to stage 20 yet and you're doing, say, stage 16 is a pretty good place to farm, that's relatively efficient, that's fine. Just be aware that the energy requirements are slightly increased. We're just talking about a couple of hundred energy, maybe 200 energy. But again, this may actually save you time because this might be a faster clear, or it might be a slower clear. It's kind of, you have to do more runs, so it might kind of work out as slower. I don't know. But be aware that, you have to calculate your time as well. And so right now, I've been feeling pretty good about this. This means that when an event drops, I jump on that event right away because on an early game account, everything takes more time. So I started this dragon tournament basically as soon as the dungeon divers started. Dungeon divers started like 4 hours later than the dragon tournament or something like that. So I waited for the dungeon divers to start and then I just put all of my energy into the dragon tournament. And I have multi-battles saved up as well if I need them. You can see here. So let's go ahead and collect these 20. I have some, multi-battles if I need them. I don't use RSL Helper. Now, as far as, let's swap that champion out. Get these guys in here and get them capped out. As far as champion training is concerned, I'm doing campaign. I'm doing just 12-3. That's where I'm generating a lot of my silver right now. You can see I have 7 million silver. As far as the gear enhancement event, I don't think I've done very much at all. Yeah, I've done nothing. So I have spent some silver that I got from the Dragon tournament just to get some good gear on champions for other things. But primarily now all of my silver is going to go into the gear enhancement event. If I have to, let's see. There is silver available here. I can get 2 million silver from the clan shop. You can see I do have the clan gold. So that's another resource that can help you out. In addition, there is energy here. There's 1,000 energy. So I'm probably going to get all of that silver and all of this energy. And that takes 1,900 clan gold. And I've been planning for that. So I've been generating, clan gold for the last month as well. I try to do that every day, or every week, get my clan quests. I've actually maxed them all out this week already. I think I'm all finished. I finished? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I didn't pick. Oh, maybe they just reset. But anyway, so get your clan gold every week, and that's going to allow you access to extra resources. Of course, there is also tag team arena resources, right? So I can come in here. I can get this 300 energy. This 50,000 silver isn't really that valuable, but I can get that energy, and I'm going to use that during the fusion as well. So energy is not going to be a problem. I have gems. Gems can also be converted into shards here. So if I need these shards to complete the summon rush, I can always do that with some of these gems. And then again, I'm generating gems every day. I'm generating probably in the vicinity of, I want to say like 80 or 90 gems a day. I don't know. It might be more, might be less, but I think it's around there. So during, the 15 days of this fusion, I'm probably going to pick up at least another 1,000 gems. And that is a whole shard pack or a whole bunch of energy refills if I need more silver. So if it turns out that I can't get all the silver that I need, I can do that. Again, I can also forge all my stuff in here. I don't have a ton of forge materials hanging around, but I can forge materials and sell those pieces as well for a little bit of silver. So silver is going to be the big stretch for me. I think energy is going to be fine. And then again, we can see my shard totals here. I have the 3 sacred shards. I have over 1,000 mystery shards. So I need to keep generating those. That's going to be fine because I'm overspending in champion training. That means campaign. That's where I'm getting these mystery shards. I'm probably getting in the vicinity of like 60 or 70 mystery shards a day if I'm not pulling them constantly. So over the course of the next 10 days or so until the champion chase, I'm sure I could pick up another 5, like picking up 500 additional mystery shards shouldn't be a huge deal. I can probably do that just fine. But again, got a ton of ancient shards. If it's a 2 times event, I've got the void shards. And then again, I've got my Sabbatha, I've got the Huntress, the Bloodhorn, I've got the permanent fusion stuff going on. So I'm going to be able to, if I have to, I could fuse a Relic Keeper. I think I'm planning on doing the Broad Maw. So I've got these 2. So I just need some uncommons, which I can get from mystery shards, or I can even farm in campaign. And then that should be enough. And then again, once I fuse these, I can get these points. So that's how this is playing out. But again, the first thing is planning ahead and knowing the resources that you're going to need, and then figuring out if you can reach those resources. But the second thing is actually doing it in game. So every few hours, I check where these are. I want to see, how many hours do I have before an event ends? How many hours? Like, this is 14 hours before this event ends, but it's almost 6 p.m. my time, right? So that means this is going to end around 8 a.m. for me. So I have from 6 p.m. until about midnight when I go to bed to actually complete this Dungeon Divers. So when I stop this video, I'm going to have to jump into this Dungeon Divers. I'm going to have to really rock this for the next 6 hours and end it. But it's my birthday today. So I've got 3 hours to hang out with my family. We're going to have dinner. We're going to have cake. We're going to celebrate. And then I've got 3 hours before I go to bed to do this. And then maybe what I'm going to have to do is just auto battle while I'm eating dinner. I'm just going to have to be a little bit energy inefficient, use, several hundred auto battles and run this through Dragon, right? Dragon 20, because that's the most energy efficient. And that should get me the Dungeon Divers points I need. I'm not too far away, right? I'm at 2,300 points. I need to get to 3,700 points. So I need 1,400 more points. And I should be able to do that in Dragon easily enough. So again, planning your time is really important, because if I fail this, it's not going to be based on the resources. As you can see, it's going to be based on me making a mistake and not accounting for the fact that this Dungeon Divers ends at 8 in the morning. I don't want to stay up to 4 a.m. I don't want to do that. But if I have to stay up to 1 a.m. or something, I will. And then, the gear enhancement, you can do this really quickly. This doesn't take a lot of time. Obviously, the champion training, I can use Bruise at the end of it. If I need to push a few thousand points at the end of it, I can do that. And that's sort of how it plays out. And then I'm getting ready for the next events. As soon as I see them, again, you can use the calendar. You can also, if you want, if you play on PC, you can use the Plarium Play Calendar. I use that as well. Let me just pull that up for you. So you can always jump in here and look ahead and see when things are popping. And, it gives you the dates. It doesn't give you the times, but you can kind of see which one's going to pop first. So you know that this Fusion Soul Summon Pool event is going to start, a little bit before the Drop Fever artifact event, whatever. But this can help you plan. And again, you can look forward and see these events as they unfold. And so you can kind of figure out the times of day that they begin and end. And that can help you plan those events. All right, so that is it. That's my method. And again, now it's about execution. So I have a high degree of confidence that I have all of the resources that I needed because I have planned ahead. Don't feel that you have to do this fusion event. Like, if you haven't done the planning, you can still do the calculation. You can still look at the resources that you currently have and the resources you can generate over the course of the next 12 days or so and figure out if you can complete this fusion. And if you can't, don't waste the resources. Just hold on to them. I know this is a good fusion, but hold on to them for next month's fusion or the one after. And again, you can plan ahead. You can say, okay, when this one ends, there's going to be about a 2-week gap. What can I generate in the time between now and the start of the next fusion? And again, plan that for your shards, plan that for your energy, plan that for your gems, plan that for your silver, plan that for everything. And do this once or twice. It becomes very easy. It took much less time to calculate this than to make this video. I did all of these calculations in probably 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, right? I probably did them in 5 minutes and then double checked them and did them in 5 minutes again another time just to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. But this is what you get into the habit of doing every month when you have a fusion event coming around. And figuring out whether or not you can go for it. So that's it. That is it. Let me know in the comments below. Was this insightful? Was it too much? Was it overwhelming? Hopefully this will help some of you succeed in completing your first fusion. If it's not this month, then maybe next month or the month after that. All right, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out. I have been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.